We are in the final moments before the engines fire here at Texas Motor Speedway. Weather, in a word, perfect. Temperature pushing 80 degrees. Beautiful sunny skies for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Quick check of our J-Ski news and notes. Richard Petty is apparently going to field an Indy 500 entry for John Andretti. Andretti, the driver that earned Petty's last Sprint Cup Series win for Petty Enterprises. There are reports the NASCAR Sprint Cup Awards banquet's heading to Las Vegas this December. If so, it would end a 28-year run in New York City, and this being the 5th race of the year starting next week. The guaranteed starting spots in the Nationwide Series races go to this year's top 30 in owners' points, and there are only 24 points from positions 25 to 30 and 3 more to the next 2 cars. Something else to watch for during today's race. All right, time to head upstairs to the 3 cowboys who don't wear hats or spurs but do have a great line of bull, and we'll call the race for us this afternoon. Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. I couldn't resist. Come on now.
Thank you, Alan. I resemble that remark. You know, folks, when you come to Texas, you expect to see big names and big-time speeds, and we've got both for you today. The names, how about Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Burton Edwards, Kenseth Waltrip, and many more. And as for speed, folks, this may shock you. The pole here at Texas, almost 8 miles per hour faster than what it was in Daytona. And DJ, that poses quite a challenge for drivers.
That's what this racetrack is about, the speed. That's the first thing that comes to these drivers' mind is how fast this track is. You know, and this is not the smoothest surface out there. There's nothing wrong with it, but it makes it very, very difficult for these drivers to dodge those bumps at the high rate of speed. These guys are running wide open a lot of the time during these runs.
And as a car owner, I would worry a little bit about the speed at this racetrack. I don't worry about too much of these racetracks, but this was one of those really fast tracks that you can get in trouble in a hurry, and that's the only thing I would worry about as far as these marquee drivers are concerned when they run this race. You see right here, Michael McDowell driving down in the corner, qualifying for the Cup race, crashes his car, COT car. He walks away from this thing, but you can see just how quick you can get in trouble and how fast things happen here.
Fastest track on the entire circuit here, and it was a year ago, and it is thus far in 2009. Now, last year, Kyle Busch dominated both races here, went on to win both races. Who do we see today that could beat him, and how do you do it?
How do you do it? That's going to be the difficult question because he dominated these, just as you said. But I think Carl Edwards is the guy that wants to take that away. He's our points leader. He's finishing the top 5 in all the races, and I think he has the formula to do that today.
And Jeff Burton is also going to be a guy that can beat Kyle Busch. He's done it before on this style of racetrack, but also there's some tricks these guys can play. This is one of those tracks where you can see strategy come in, and one of these guys might try to stretch it a little bit. So Kyle Busch is not a shoe-in. He's going to have to race for it.
It is hard to believe that neither Carl Edwards nor Jeff Burton have ever won in the NASCAR Nationwide Series at this racetrack. That could change today. Let's go trackside for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back today's Grand Marshal, Manny Perez, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports. Gentlemen, start your engine!
You might want to look into it as we go. 10-4, I got you.
Engines have fired and they are set to roll here momentarily. Our in-race reporter today is batting 1,000 in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition for 2009. Tony Stewart has entered 1 race this year and won it at Daytona. In a moment, we'll talk with Smoke and ask him if his Armor All Chevy has enough ammunition to handle a Texas-style shootout with Kyle, Carl, and the boys. The good news for Kyle Busch this weekend is he picked up where he left off here last fall as the fastest car in the house. Kyle Busch picking up his 2nd pole of the year, 16th of his career. Now the bad news, in 16 previous races, it has never been won here from the pole. Could that change today? Now, while you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, 2-time Cup champion, Tony Stewart, who starts the Armor All Chevy back in 8th spot.
Tony, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Sir.
Hey, Tony, how difficult is it as a driver to just jump in with a team that you haven't run with, get in their car and work with their crew chief and crew in trying to make this car raceable enough to try to win today?
Well, the easy parts, the owners are Kevin and Delana Harvick, and anytime you get in anything of theirs, it's real easy because, you know, Kevin knows how he likes his cars, and every time I've got in them, I've been comfortable right off the bat, so it makes my job a lot more desirable when I come over here. And Ernie Cope's a great crew chief, and he's got a great group of guys working on this thing, so it's kind of like falling into an old pair of shoes. I mean, I've driven for him before quite a bit, and this thing always drives good.
Hey, Tony, we talked a lot in the Countdown show, and me in particular, about how difficult the transitions are into and out of the corners at this racetrack and the high speeds. Is there one particular place with these nationwide cars that's a little more difficult than the others?
Yeah, I'd definitely say where we're at right here in turn 2. It's, you know, it's probably the tightest corner. You know, turn 2 and turn 3 are the tightest 2 corners on the track, but it always seems like when you're on the gas and you get behind somebody, it's easy to get either really tight or really loose up off the corner off of 2.
All right, Tony, our next question comes from our ESPN.com mailbag, and it's from Mike in Lunenburg, Massachusetts. And he'd like to know, does KHI's recent success give you more confidence driving the 33 car today?
Well, I've always had confidence, but I mean, this team's on a big high right now. Obviously, Kevin winning at Martinsville in the truck, and then Kevin getting his first win in this thing at Bristol was a pretty cool accomplishment for these guys, and it's something that, you know, really proud for Kevin, because it's always more fun when you win in your own cars. So, you know, I don't know that it adds any pressure. It just makes it that much more fun knowing that they're coming off a good week at Bristol like they did.
All right, Tony, thanks for talking with us today.
Buddy, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, now Andy's going to talk with your crew chief, Ernie Cope. Hey, Ernie, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
How you doing, Andy?
Pretty good, Ernie. You and Kevin are starting to get this thing. You're clicking on all cylinders after that big win at Bristol. What's it like now working with Tony Stewart?
It was just like we haven't missed a beat. It's the same thing. He's got a good feel and knows what he wants, and I think we ought to have a good car today.
Okay, Ernie. Good luck down there today, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Be fun to ride along with Tony Stewart today. We'll also have onboard cameras in 7 other cars throughout the field. We'll see if Mike Bliss can rebound from a couple of disappointing races last 2 times out. And Michael Waltrip starting way back in 19th. Watch for him to come toward the front in a hurry in his Toyota. Our over-the-wall reporter today is a local boy, John Buslow, the front tire carrier for Eric McClure's Ford. Grew up in nearby Denton, Texas. Let's visit with John.
Hey, John, Andy Petrie up here in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, hey, Andy.
Hey, John. You guys have only raced twice in the last 5 weeks. How do you guys stay sharp and be ready for this race today?
Well, you know, we go back to the shop and we do the best we can to improve the cars. And, you know, we clean the shop up because sometimes it's a mess. And then we do pit practice. But the best part is that when you go home, you get to spend time with your family and barbecue. And I love to eat.
Way to go, John. Good luck down there today. Be safe.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Andy, one of the most difficult decisions a crew chief must make here after qualifying is pit selection. And here at Texas, it can be a bit of a roll of the dice.
Yeah, if you qualify in the top 5, it's not a hard decision because you've got about 5 openings here that you can pick. But Carl Edwards picked, he actually was the 6th car to pick, and he picked this pit. I find this interesting because he picked not right behind Kyle Busch. He picked number 3, and now he's going to have a car between him, and I'm sure he thought it was going to be a back marker that he might be able to get a lap down. But it's going to be Stephen Wallace, and Stephen Wallace is likely to run well. He could actually get in there and get between these guys at the wrong time and maybe hold up Carl in trying to race Kyle Busch off pit road.
We'll follow that race off of pit road throughout the afternoon. One of the pleasant surprises this year has been the performances of the young guns. For more, here's Vince Welch.
That's right, Doc. 7 of the last 8 winners here at Texas have been 31 or younger. And while Kyle Busch may be the favorite to continue that young gun trend today, don't overlook 18-year-old Joey Logano or even 22-year-old rookie Justin Allgaier. Logano was 5th in his debut here last November, and Allgaier was 5th his last time out at Bristol a couple of weeks ago. I talked with both today. They believe they have cars that can make them players here this afternoon at Texas. Shannon?
Vince, another driver who's looking to Texas Motor Speedway as a place where he can get his first win is Roush Fenway driver David Reagan. And his crew and his crew chief Mike Kelly are just as focused and determined. In fact, Kelly, who was a part of the 2004 Cup Championship team at Roush Fenway, told me he would gladly give up that title for a win here with this team. Radioed in and said, it is time to get a win. Let's get this done today. Dave?
Shannon, speaking of Roush Fenway, back in 1993, Jack Roush won for the first time in this series. Since then, 98 more. He's on his 99th victory, could score that 100th victory today with one of 3 drivers, including Carl Edwards, who hasn't won here before. Good luck, Jack. Jamie?
And Dave, there's quite a few other big names in the field and a couple who haven't won here as well, like Tony Stewart. Jeff Burton has finished second 3 times. Also of note, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in the 5 car. Doc?
Thanks, guys. We are set for Green Flag Racing, Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch swept both a year ago. No one has ever won 3 in a row here. No one has ever won from the pole in 16 previous races. Typically one of the best races of the year, and why not, folks? We're at the Great American Speedway. So sit back and enjoy as we mosey toward the green flag. Turn 2, Kyle Busch, a car length over Paul Menard, making only his second start of the year, and there comes that 29 car. Jeff Burton in 3rd spot, and up high is Matt Kenseth in the 16.
Yeah, we saw Matt Kenseth kind of get hung up on the outside right there. Thought he was going to go backwards, but now he's starting to fight his way back around Jeff Burton on the outside.
I think we need to point out once again, these cars and drivers haven't been on this racetrack since Thursday. There's more rubber down on the racetrack here. Conditions are a lot different because they had a very windy day on Thursday, so we may see some guys struggling here at the beginning.
Also, with the lack of wind, it is a lot warmer than it's been earlier in the week, and that makes the racetrack quite a bit different.
That's definitely going to change some of the setups, but these guys are so smart these days. They know how to adjust for that. They can make air pressure adjustments. They can't change a lot of the springs, or any of the springs actually, from the setup from qualifying, but they can make some adjustments to the car through air pressure.
You'll see Jeff Burton battling on the inside here with Matt Kenseth. We heard him say in the Countdown show, this is a totally different race car than what they've been used to, bringing a different setup, so we'll watch his progress through the day as to how that car is going to handle.
A lot of unknowns in that 29 car, as you mentioned. Andy, you brought cars to the racetrack. How much of a gamble is it to bring a car that's a brand new kind of construction?
Well, sometimes it can be a gamble, but you don't learn unless you try things. And this is a good way to do that. Just they can't test. They can't go to these racetracks and test. So if you're going to learn something new, you got to roll the dice, bring something here and see how it works.
And Jeff Burton's a good person to do that because he probably had a lot to do with the construction of that car. He's that involved at Richard Childress Racing with what they do with their chassis. David Reagan making a move on the inside here.
That would be for the 4th position. Reagan still looking for that first win. Remember, this is a racetrack that has produced some first-time winners over the years, and David Reagan, by the way, got his first pole in the NASCAR Nationwide Series here as a rookie back in 2007, so a good place for him.
Yeah, this could be that place that David Reagan goes to victory lane. We've talked about guys getting their first win here and things, so could be a good racetrack. We heard Matt Kenseth, too. I found it interesting. He didn't sound real confident in the Countdown show when he was interviewed about really what to expect with his car, so he might be one that's looking for a pit stop here, you know, obviously some 40 laps down the road to make some changes to his car.
Yeah, but I'll be shocked if he's not one of the players at the end of this race.
Yeah, that's Matt for you, isn't it? Yeah. It's kind of playing it cool, and then he'll be there at the end.
Kenseth, a 2-time winner here in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition, also has won once in the Cup car.
See from this shot, David Reagan's car dancing around in the back. It just shows you how hard these guys are driving. They're going 200 miles an hour in the back end of that car, twitching around.
That's the thing that got me in, and it's been a while since I was in a Nationwide car here, and a lot of things have changed. But in talking to these guys, it's still a lot to say. You have to drive these cars so hard because of the tapered spacers. They don't have the horsepower, and everything that they're doing with the chassis this day and time makes it a handful to drive around here.
See Tony Stewart now beginning to creep in a little bit on the 16 car for 5th position. Kenseth in the 16, Stewart back behind him. There goes Menard by 2nd, Burton 3rd, then Reagan, and there is Kenseth and Stewart.
Yeah, we show these guys because the guy that doesn't have any problem is way out front, and that's Kyle Busch. So he's led all of these laps. He led 200 laps here, or 300 here last year in the 2 races. So he's just continuing on.
Yeah, there's the guy you're talking about, the 18. A pretty good battle back in the pack here. David Rudeman and Mike Blitz.
David Rudeman's really taking to this racetrack, too. On the pole for the Cup race. Running strong right here.
Yeah, I think David, he's getting, you know, now that he's been to these racetracks a few times, he's really being able to give good feedback to the different crews that he's working with. And this obviously is not a Michael Waltrip car that he's driving. So I think that his experience is helping him a lot to get all of these cars running a lot better.
Couple of cars to the garage area. Johnny Chapman in the 90 car. Terry Cook, who had a great qualifying effort. Both those cars have headed to the garage area early here at Texas Motor Speedway. Early laps, and just what happened a year ago. Whoops. Little competition up front. Moving in there. There's the 29 car of Jeff Burton. Now, the new construction, a little bit of R&D, and apparently it's working out pretty well. He's moving in on Paul Menard.
It's working great. His car looks real good. He said they made some changes to this car right before qualifying, which means they couldn't change anything after that, and it's working real well. He's really moving in on Paul Menard, and he might be up there challenging Kyle Busch here in a little bit.
Yeah, and you could hear there as we rode along with Jeff Burton that he came out of the gas a little bit there, kind of a high entry in. You see him right on the back bumper of Paul Menard. Gets Paul loose. He's going to try to take that second spot away as we come out of turn 4.
Jeff Burton very frustrated in 2008. Did not go to victory lane a single time in the NASCAR Nationwide Series car. A 27-time winner. And we talk about 2008. How about a 10-time winner last year? That was Kyle Busch, who got win number 1 here in the spring and win number 10 here last fall. Once again, it is Kyle showing the way at Texas Motor Speedway. 16 laps in of 200 at Texas Motor Speedway, and it has been the Kyle Busch show thus far. From the pole, he has led every single lap, and the margin a little under 4 seconds between him and the second place car of Jeff Burton. Now, we talked to Jeff Burton earlier in the week and asked him about goals for this year compared to what happened or didn't happen a year ago.
I didn't win any races last year. Scott won a race early in the year, but we didn't have the kind of year that we were accustomed to having. That, you know, I hate to pout and scream, you know, we didn't win any races, but, you know, we got really used to winning a lot of races. And we didn't do that last year. So, you know, we got to go and take it back from them. I mean, the Toyotas have, you know, the Gibbs cars have really made it hard on us. I mean, they've done an incredible job, and they've just been so fast that they've taken away our opportunities. That's their job. It's our job to go take it back.
Before the commercial break, you heard the guys in the booth talking about some of the adjustments that the 29 team made before this race today. One of the things that they did was loosen the car up a little bit. Right now, Jeff Burton is saying he's definitely loose getting into the turns, but Dan Duringhoff, crew chief, thinks that the track is going to tighten up. Guys?
Yeah, it should come to him. I mean, if you've got that car a little bit free right now, wouldn't be too worried about it. He's last lap, they actually were pretty close on lap time, him and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, of course, Kyle's in traffic, and Jeff was kind of by himself. That's kind of the way that it is. I mean, he's about a 10th and a half better. But, you know, we've got some guys that are, you know, coming up through the pack here. And you know, as this thing sorts out through the rest of the day, I think there'll be some more players. Kyle Busch isn't just going to run out and hide all day.
The beginning of 2009 has not been good for Brad Keselowski. And this weekend didn't start much better because his mayonnaise car there, the 88, got mashed in qualifying. He had to go to a backup car and start 42nd. But then the news now is good. Look, he has gained 20 spots since we dropped the green flag.
Yeah, looks like we can make that 21 off turn 2. Just by Bernie Lamar.
That's a good run. I mean, he had no practice time in this car at all. They just had to bring the backup off and basically go with what they learned with their other car on Thursday. Put it in, and Brad's doing a nice job here. He really, really needs a good day. Yeah, he's been running well. It's just circumstances that have put him in a bad position points-wise.
4 starts, 4 wrecks, none of which were his own doing. A 22nd at Daytona, 27th. He finally got a 12th place finish at Bristol, even though he was somewhat of a cue ball during the last part of that race. Managed a top 15 finish.
Yeah, he's just looking to get that mojo back he had last year.
Couple of Rusty Wallace Incorporated cars here. The 62 car, 4th overall in points and 2nd in Rookie of the Year standings, Brendan Gaughan. And behind him is Stephen Wallace, the 2nd generation driver in the 66 car.
Andy, that's what you want as a car owner, getting your cars equal running together, but a little further up the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do want to try to keep them together, and that's always a struggle, but you always want to try to get them as far up as you can. Yeah, they're still working their way up through here in this long race. Stephen Wallace had a scare, though, before the race started. His car wouldn't start down on the line. Had to get it pushed.
They are battling for 19th position, so trying to hold there in the top 20. Stephen Wallace, by the way, had a poor qualifying effort at Bristol, but then drove a stellar race on the short track and ended up with a top 10 finish. Now, what about the rookie, Brendan Gaughan? Jamie.
Well, Doc, after a great weekend, last weekend starting on the pole for the first time, he said they pulled up here in Texas with what he called an unconventional setup. Well, they went out in the first practice, and they were dead last. 2 seconds off, to be exact. Even touched the wall, so they had some damage there. Repaired it right now. The car coming around to him. He's hanging in there, says he's just a bit loose.
Jamie, Stephen Wallace has picked up 10 spots since the drop of the green flag. I asked him about that poor qualifying run. He said our mock qualifying run, practice if you will, was so loose I almost wrecked the race car. So when I went out to qualify, I was a little bit too conservative. They started 30th. We're hoping to get an early caution to work on the car, but looks like they may not need to. It's pretty quick so far.
Dave, that's something you wouldn't have heard out of Stephen Wallace a couple of years ago. I'm a little too conservative.
Usually he's standing hard on the gas.
Motor's blown up. Check your voltmeter when you can. And oil pressure, buddy? We got oil pressure. We're just popping and switch boxes and switch batteries. Think it might have been an ignition box. In 4. Drive home.
You got to wonder if that's not connected to the car not starting on the line. Like maybe they left something on and drained the battery down. What happens there is it starts loading the alternator so much when you crank it up, it can actually hurt the alternator.
And that could be a good sign, because isn't that what Kevin Harvick had going on at Bristol? Kevin, didn't you have an alternator problem and ended up coming back and just winning the race?
Yeah, we had an alternator wire break. It actually broke in half, and that could be some of what they're experiencing. Like Andy said, it could hurt the alternator, but usually it should charge everything back up. So that's one thing about these R07s, and Stewart had the same problem in practice. They sound so much different than the motors that we used to run compared to the old style motor. They almost sound like they're blown up every lap. They run really well, but they have a different sound to them. So the other thing I was noticing here is Stewart was practicing at 2970s, and right now they're running 32 flats. So hard to get your travels and things right over the bumps that we have through the corners here on the bottom. And most of these cars are probably not exactly right.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have that much change in speed, you set these things up for loads that you see at these real high speeds. And when it slows down that much, those loads change quite a bit.
Yeah, are there things you can do on a pit stop to help any of that?
It's really hard to. I mean, you can just adjust the tire pressures and things like that, but it's really hard to adjust that part of the car during the race.
It has been all Kyle Busch thus far. 27 laps in. It is Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, Paul Menard, David Reagan, and Tony Stewart in the top 5. Back with more from Texas in just a moment. Kyle Busch has led all 32 laps thus far here at Texas Motor Speedway. And folks, now you can have your questions answered by our analyst on our Verizon Wireless mailbag. And our first question comes from Shelley in Katy, Texas. And DJ, what makes Kyle Busch so good?
Wow, a lot of owners would like to know that too out there. But, I think Brad Daugherty had the answer. He had Shaquille O'Neal's sneaker down there, size 22. I don't know if that's totally it. I'm going to tell you what, my brother-in-law, Jimmy Maycar at Joe Gibbs Racing, told me they knew when they got Kyle Busch, they were getting a wheel man, a guy that could really get up on the wheel and drive that race car for all it's worth. But what they got more was a guy that knows a lot about the chassis. He really communicates well with his crew and tells them what the car needs and is really good at explaining what the car is doing. And that was a bonus to them. And I think that we don't give Kyle Busch enough credit. We talk about his driving talent. He has a lot of that, but he also has a lot of knowledge of his race car.
He's got the whole package. Folks, if you want to ask a question on our Verizon Wireless mailbag, text your question to 4ESPN from your Verizon Wireless phone or go online to ESPN.com to submit future questions. Kyle Busch, our leader. Why don't we let Nationwide take you up to speed, beginning with our leader, Kyle Busch, and Dave Burton.
And Doc, in the Chassis Man's most recent report over the radio, he said it's a titch-free in. That's Kyle's word for just a little bit. Titch-free in, more so into 3 than into 1 because of the wind. Now, I talked with Jason Radcliffe, his crew chief, about the wind on Thursday and how that affected practice. He said it was really confusing because the wind messed with us. It was shifting all around. But we didn't make adjustments based on that. Kyle told me, don't mess with the car. What I'm fighting, you can't fix. So when it was close, they left it where it was, and Kyle to deal with the wind. Shannon?
Dave, the win also really affected the 29 team. They did not know what they were coming in with today. And add on top of that, the fact that they had a brand new setup here today. One of the reasons they tried something new, obviously Jeff Burton's track record here, 12 top 10s and 12 starts. But last season, Dan Dieringhoff told me that they weren't able to try anything out of the box because they were going for the championship. So they've done it here today with the 29. Right now, he's just a little loose. Vince?
Shannon, the 98 is running in third. That is Paul Menard. The Bristol race 2 weeks ago was the first time that Menard and crew chief Matt Pusha had worked together, so they're still getting to know one another. But Pusha told me earlier today they're off to a good start, and it's showing right now on the track. They're a touch free, but third place right now, and Menard taking a look inside, Shannon.
David Reagan, the last time we were at a 1.5-mile track, he came so close to getting his first win, spun out while leading with 31 laps left in the race. His crew chief told me that was the best thing that could have happened for David Reagan because he realized that he could make the pass and that he could get to victory lane. Then when it was taken away, it made him want it even more. The car's getting a little bit snug for this 6. Dave?
Behind him, Shannon, Tony Stewart has been breaking down the corners for crew chief Ernie Cope, telling him the entry has changed. First it was free, then it was tighter, now it's good. The center has stayed tight the whole time, and the exit has been good. So right now it seems like Smoke will want them to work on the center of the corner to help it turn better for the 33. Jamie?
And behind him is Matt Kenseth in the unfamiliar colors of the City Financial number 16 car. Just the second time in the 16. Matt told me he has to look over at the board to see his number, and he looks for the 17, and he said, well, where are we? He's definitely not used to being in that 16 right now. Lacking overall grip, says they're planning on pitting around lap 50. Vince?
Joey Logano in the 20 car is running 7th. This is a big race for Joey. His sponsor, GameStop, is based just down the road in nearby Grapevine, and he came into this race feeling good about the way things were going on the Cup side, and crew chief Dave Rogers said that's really given Joey confidence in the Nationwide car. Plus, Joey Logano ran here last year at top 5. That in itself builds some confidence for Logano. This team came into this race today believing they had one that would be a contender. Vince, Carl Edwards in the green number 60, letting Logano make the hole there through traffic. Edwards' car not to his liking right now. He's lost 2 positions since the drop of the green flag. His car has grip according to the driver, but it's just a little tight all the way around. That means they wanted to turn just a little bit more. They'll make changes on their first pit stop. Shannon?
David Ruderman said this was his favorite racetrack coming into this weekend, and he has had such a great run in both the Cup Series and the Nationwide Series. He started this race 20th. He's moved his way into the top 10. Right now, the car is really loose. They're going to make a track bar adjustment on the pit stop. Jamie?
And when it comes to Texas, Jason Leffler, the 38, loves to come back here. Got his first ever pole right here. Told me he's in a brand new car. This car loaded. They were great, he said, but second practice, they were even better. They're coming off with a lot of momentum from Bristol, where they had a top 10 finish. Vince?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 9th, currently running 11th. His crew chief Brian Campy told me earlier today, we'd like a long run at the start of the race to get a real good idea of exactly what kind of car we've got. Well, they've had a long run at the start, and they're not so happy with what they've got.
Brian, give his lap times this time. He's changing his line a little bit here, bud. I can't run up here, it's too loose. Don't worry about it. Just tighten it up when I see it. 10-4, buddy. We'll get you fixed up.
Track position is key here at Texas, and this team, as most teams that have a shot at winning, say they want to finish or stay in the top 5. Gain spots on pit road, but because of the tapered spacer, if you fall back in the field, you're not going to be able to race your way back up through. Doc?
Vince, the other junior motorsports car is gaining in a hurry. Brad Keselowski has gained 28 positions. There he comes in a backup car that has not been on the racetrack at all because he wrecked the primary car during his qualifying laps. He started 42nd and is now all the way up in 14th position, moving in on the boss, Earnhardt Jr. in 11th. Moving it on pit stops, coming up in about 7 or 8 laps. First pit stop of the day. A lot of adjustments will take place. See if these guys can catch Kyle Busch when we come back.
Well, we continue under green at Texas. Checking the motorsports calendar upcoming on the ESPN family of networks. NHRA drag racing. Tonight, 8 Eastern time qualifying from Vegas. SummitRacing.com NHRA action. NASCAR Now, Texas pre-race tomorrow morning. The NHRA finals tomorrow afternoon. Our NASCAR Now Monday roundtable. And then next weekend, the Easter weekend spotlight. It's the Nationwide Series at Nashville. Coverage presented by Shell. That is what's upcoming motorsports-wise on the ESPN family of networks. Caution-free thus far, a quarter way through the O'Reilly 300 at Texas. Kyle Busch has led all of the laps so far from the pole and from the pit studio. Chatting with Kevin Harvick, who is, let's see, four-time Texas winner. Won the most recent Nationwide Series race that 2 weeks ago at Bristol. Former champion. I got a whole lot of lists here. But you know, one record you hold at this racetrack in the Nationwide Series is about to fall. Uh-oh. The most laps led from the start of a Texas race.
Oh, great.
53 consecutive. Kevin Harvick. As a matter of fact, this race 1 year ago.
Okay. Well, we know why Kyle Busch is so strong, and that's because he qualifies well and he runs fast right off the bat. And this is where it really starts to show up if you have a bad qualifying run. You look at Brad Keselowski. I mean, they started in the back, and he's got one of the fastest cars, but he's 2 cars from getting lapped here. So this is where your track position, and if you're off the first run here and you have a guy like that runs really well, it really shows up.
Getting ready for the beginning of green flag pit stops, and in fact, here comes David Rudiman pitting from 7th spot. Shannon.
David Rudiman gives up 8th place to come down pit road. He said the car has gotten better. It was really loose on that run. He said, I hate to make any changes. As you can see, they're making a 4-tire change and an air pressure for that number 10 car. David Rudiman having a great run here today. Vince.
Well, the 12 car of Justin Allgaier coming in. He has been complaining that the car is tight in and loose off. They're going to change all 4 tires, fill him up with fuel, make that adjustment to get him freed up. Doc, Alan, let's go to Alan.
All right, watching some of the action on the green flag pit stops. Kevin, take me inside the car. We heard the pit report during Up to Speed a little while ago. Tony Stewart breaking down the corners for Ernie Cope. What are you as a driver thinking about now? You've been nonstop green since the beginning of the race, and you got to get ready to come to pit road.
Well, there's not a lot of times when you're at the beginning of a race you get to run a long run like this, so you know what the transition is going to be from your car from the beginning of the run to the end of the run. The second thing you got to think about is you're going to have this first pit stop, and you're going to put sticker tires on. Usually that makes the car turn better in the center of the corner, so it's easy for you to over-adjust because you start on scuff tires from qualifying that have been sitting there for 2 days. See Tony waving his hand to come into pit, and this is a crucial time to come on the pit road because it's hard to know where you're going.
Hey, Kevin, how hard is it to get onto pit road here from the speed that you're running? There doesn't look like a lot of room.
Yeah, it's hard because there's a big transition here from the banking to the apron, so you want to run it all the way up off the corner, and it's really easy to make a mistake, especially when you go all the way to a green flag pit stop without having a caution and knowing what your brakes feel like.
The 98 of Paul Menard is in. Menard complaining he needs more grip. We're going to take a ½ pound out of the left side tires, give him 4 fresh tires, and put in Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Tony Stewart gives up his spot on the track. This will be an air pressure adjustment, and it doesn't look like they'll put a wrench through the window. So that thing about not over-adjusting, apparently Ernie Cope is going to stay with air pressure on this 33 car. 4-tire change, and he's out of here.
Easiest spot to gain him right there on pit road.
There you go. I was just going to say, waiting on the leader Kyle Busch to pit. Here he comes. Matt Kenseth in first. Jamie?
And Matt Kenseth just radioed that his car is getting better. They're only going to make an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, fuel for Matt Kenseth.
Leader Kyle Busch comes down pit road right now, and in the interest of not over-adjusting a car that has been extremely fast, no adjustments on this car. They will simply change the tires, fill it full of Sunoco fuel, and send it back out on the track. That was Kyle's wishes. Jason Ratcliffe has applied nothing to this car. They'll send him back out. Shannon?
It was a track bar adjustment for Jeff Burton. The car's still a little bit loose.
Carl Edwards is on pit road as well for the 60 car. Remember, he was tight earlier in this run. They will make a wedge and an air pressure adjustment for Carl as the crew goes around to the left side now. 60 had lost a couple of spots during this first long run. They need to get that car fixed for Carl. A little tug on the left front fender, and he's off pit road.
So the leader of the race is going to become Brad Keselowski by not pitting yet. Stephen Wallace comes in, and we're just about through this first cycle of pit stops. And Keselowski staying out to collect 5 bonus points toward the championship, something you always got to be thinking about.
Well, Brad, he's had a tough start to the season, but he's trying to get this thing turned around so we can quit asking him each week when he's going to turn the season around. So obviously trying to get those points, give himself a hand up, get a little positive momentum going for the day.
That's not a good sign.
No, that's a bad sign. When you're having these green flag pit stops, it's so easy if you have a bad pit stop to lose so much time on these pit stops right here. You saw the 98 have a little bit of trouble, but it expands into 2 seconds on pit road, expands into 10 seconds on the racetrack. So it's so critical just to have a decent pit stop right here.
Keselowski on and off pit road. Service to the 88 car that hands the lead back to Kyle Busch. And trouble for the 5 car. That is Dale Jr. And he is off the pace.
Left front tires. Something wrong with left front tire. Left front tire is about to fall off.
Look at the steering wheel shake.
Yeah, you can see the wheels loose. Yeah. Big time.
The jack man's supposed to watch, make sure the tires are on the car before he drops the jack.
That's a bad penalty.
Team owner reminding some people of some things that are supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be sitting in as a driver and an owner. It's hard to, I've been there, it's hard to control your emotions right there, because when you have a decent day going and they let the jack down or something happens, it ruins the whole day. So it's a tough spot.
Fortunately for him, it looks like he's going to get back around to his pit stall without that thing completely falling off the car, because if it had, it could have really torn that fender up. And
you're going to have trouble for the rest of the day. When the wheel's that loose, what happens is it eats the threads on the stud, and they could have the possibility of having trouble keeping the lug nuts tight on the left front. So there could be more trouble for the rest of the day.
So the repairs hopefully affected. We'll see. As Kevin talked about, you never know what kind of damage it did. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. rejoining the race. So the first pit stop did not go very well for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the 5 team, the crew, not happy. After it ended, this was a little bit of dejection here. Watch the crew's reaction. Wait a minute, I wasn't done yet.
Caution on the Speedway for the first time of day here in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas. We had 66 laps under green, and that guy had led 65 of them, Kyle Busch, and now we have debris on the racetrack. Having just cycled through the first round of pit stops.
It's going to be a huge break for Brad Keselowski. He's going to get the free pass here. He took a chance by staying out there. He got his bonus points for leading the lap, but it kind of got him behind and got him a lap down there, but now he's going to get back on the lead lap.
That worked out for him, but this is also going to be an opportunity for some of these other guys to adjust on their cars. This is a well-needed caution for most people. I'm sure Kyle Busch didn't want to see it.
Because of the pace that Kyle Busch had set, there are only 12 cars. Now, with you add Keselowski, 12 cars on the lead lap. Just joined our coverage, Kyle Busch won both races here a year ago, led 300 of the 400 combined laps in the 2 events at Texas, set on the pole here in qualifying on Thursday afternoon, and has led all but 1 lap. Brad Keselowski led that lap when Kyle Busch came to pit road to make his pit stop on lap 57.
I think he's starting to get the hang of this track.
Yeah, maybe so. Andy, looking at something that you pointed out before the race started about pit road and the pick that Carl Edwards and his team made for their pit road, it's going to work out for them now because Stephen Wallace got a lap down, so he's going to have the open pit.
4 tires half down on the left rear.
Before going to commercial a moment ago, the 5 car had to come back on pit road for a loose left front wheel. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now being shown 3 laps down in 35th position. There's Dale Jr. making his 3rd start of the year, and a bit of a frustrating day here for him.
All about the details.
First pit stop under the caution. First caution flag of the day. They will come down at 45 miles an hour as we head down to the pits in Shannon's Peak.
And Jeff Burton pulls the car in. He said the last adjustments under that last pit stop were great. The car's a lot better. It's just a little bit free on entry. They're going to take a little bit of air out as and 4 tires for the 2019. David Reagan, who is pitting right behind him, said the car is just a tick free. It was follow the leader down pit road here today. 4 tires, no changes for that 6 car. Dave.
Shannon, there was a long discussion between driver Bush and crew chief Ratcliffe about whether or not they should pit and burn up another set of tires. Crew chief Ratcliffe reasoned that they were falling off so quickly that they were going to need to put on another set of tires now just to keep up with them. Obviously, a lot of crews disagreed. We'll see if this works out for Kyle Busch. Tony Stewart stopped behind him as well. Doc?
Race off of pit road. How about that for Ernie Cope and the boys? Tony Stewart gaining 3 positions. Kyle Busch lost a spot. Menard up. Big gainer, Jason Leffler and the Braun Motorsports Group. There's the race off of pit road, and Tony Stewart, first guy off. The Kevin Harvick boys picking up where they left off in Bristol with great pit stops.
NASCAR Nationwide Series racing from Texas Motor Speedway, our Holiday Inn Express race summary with some of the facts and figures on the race, and we are about 2/3 of a lap from the restart with Tony Stewart now the leader.
Absolutely. Now, Kevin, you guys came in and you ripped off an incredible pit stop, but you didn't take any tires. What's up with that?
Well, they knew that the economy was taking No, I'm just kidding. You know, I think it's a good time to see how your car is going to work on pretty fresh tires. I think the 18 and the 29 put on 4 tires, but you got some other guys mixed in, so the track position might pay off. He might gain another spot and sit in 3rd here, but we'll see what happens.
Difference in speed on the fresh tires versus the 12 laps of racing tires that Tony Stewart has on that 33 car will be interesting when we get the green. It's Stewart, Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, Jeff Burton, and Jason Leffler, the top 5, as the pace car heads for pit road, and we get the answers to those previously posed questions right now.
Still on the lead lap at 13. Mike Bliss has been getting set to turn them loose with 129 laps to go.
Stewart, our leader. That's Mike Bliss right in front of him on the tail end of the lead lap as Stewart goes by, or Bliss will try to hang there. Tony Stewart using the bottom of the racetrack. Here goes Kyle Busch up to the outside to try to retake the lead, and Stewart holds him off.
Yeah, Kyle Busch had a big run into turn 3 and looked like he was going to try to maybe go to the outside of Tony Stewart. Wasn't able to make it happen at that point in time. That's some good racing right behind these guys for battling for these positions.
Now, that was a little bit of a gamble for the 1 car, Mike Bliss, to stay out there. Had about 14 laps on his tires, but it's a chance for him to get a quick caution and get that lap back, possibly.
Yeah, even if he happens to get lapped here, and he could get the free pass, so he got himself in a good position.
That's Burton, the 29 car, in 3rd spot. Behind him is Menard in 4th, Leffler and Kenseth. Good battle back there, 5th, 6th, and 7th, as you watch Kyle Busch now try to move in closer and closer. A replay of what we saw in the final laps from the season opener at Daytona between Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch.
This is a battle right here with new tires versus old tires. Surprised that Kyle Busch is not able to just move by Tony Stewart right here, but Tony's doing a good job holding him off, and Mike Bliss is actually driving away from these guys.
Here goes Kyle. He's going to drive away from this guy right here. But again, Bliss got himself in a good position. I don't think Tony was ready to push the issue right there. Their deal right here was just to see how this would work, have a set of tires for later on, and save Kevin and Delana a little bit of money at the same time. It's all working out.
That clean air is obviously worth something, though, because Mike Bliss is running the best laps of the race for him.
There's the racing back behind him. You see Carl Edwards on the inside of Paul Menard. That is for position. That's for 6th spot. Edwards takes it away. Behind them, David Rudiman getting racier and racier. You heard earlier how much he loves this racetrack. He is the pole sitter for the NASCAR Sprint Cup race here tomorrow.
As we look up there at Carl Edwards, looks like they made that car a little bit better. He'd been hanging that 6th to 10th spot from the beginning of the race here, and looks like maybe now he's got a little more racing.
DJ, it's hard to believe that Carl Edwards has been so good here in the Cup car. He won both events here for NASCAR Sprint Cup a year ago, but has only led 8 laps in a Nationwide car in the history of running to this place here. Why does he struggle somewhat in the Nationwide car?
That might be Kyle Busch. yeah, that's a good answer, Andy. I don't. Yeah, and it is one that you don't understand why it's exactly like that. But, you know, getting that car exactly what Kyle's looking for. So we see Jason Leffler battling on the inside here. You know, there have been other cars that have just been a little bit better and kept him from leading laps. Wow, things getting pretty dicey here. We're 3 wide going to turn 3.
Little contact there, Kenny Hendrick and the 38 car of Leffler. And you're starting to see Joey Logano move up in the mix a little bit. In the 20 car, there's Logano in the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, you got to think that these Gibbs cars are pretty close together. And with Kyle Busch running up front, you'd be surprised not to see the 20 car run well today.
Yeah, Logano had a good run here last November, finishing in the top 5. See Michael McDowell going to the inside of Justin Allgaier.
He's got a problem, I believe.
Yeah, he might have a flat tire.
Flat.
Allgaier coming off that career best finish of 5th at Bristol and leading the rookie points, and the guy who's chasing him in the rookie points just goes riding right on by, and gone.
He was just riding your tire tracks and just drove right into you. It's an all-day entry there. Nice save, man. We'll get it back.
And maybe he's okay, but he must overheat those rear tires.
Michael Waltrip right behind the rookie Allgaier. Michael being shown 2 laps down in 22nd position.
Michael got hit with a penalty on pit road during the green flag round of pit stops. Had to make another trip down pit road for that.
See the different grooves being used by these guys. The majority of the cars that are trying to handle it good and be on the very bottom. It's the way it goes. We see Jeff Burton. This is where a lot of the cars want to go. Jeff Burton taking that 2nd spot away from Tony Stewart right on the bottom of the racetrack. But you do see others utilizing the middle part of the racetrack, and this groove will continue to get wider as the day goes on.
We talked about how good Carl Edwards has been in the Cup car, and he hasn't won here in a nationwide car. Likewise for Jeff Burton, who's won twice here in the Cup car, including his very first Cup Series win in '97, and he's yet to go to victory lane here in the Nationwide Series.
Kyle Busch just now got by Mike Bliss. That was a really tough fight for Mike. He stayed up front for a while here.
Yeah, but Mike's in a really good position even now still, because he's well ahead of the next car's 1 lap down, and that's Steve Wallace back in the 14th spot. And so if he can just hang there and a caution later, then he'll be in good position to get that lap back.
Andy, Mike Bliss has had just 2 horrific races. He's had terrible luck at Las Vegas. He finished 22nd, 35th at Bristol, trying to sort of get their mojo back.
Yeah, they just did not run well at Bristol, and that was a place I would expect Mike Bliss to be really good. But he's running great today, and if he can get this lap back, he might be able to get a great finish.
82 laps of 200 are in the books. It has been Kyle Busch for much of the day. We have had 3 leaders, 4 lead changes, and Kyle Busch has led 75 of the 81 laps. It is Busch, Burton, Stewart, Kenseth, and Reagan. ABC is your NBA destination tomorrow. Action begins 1 o'clock Eastern in Cleveland as Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and the Spurs take on LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And at 3:30 Eastern time, Shaquille O'Neal and the Suns face Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks. That's about 40 miles east of where we are right now in Dallas, Texas. The NBA on ABC Sunday. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern time with GMC NBA Countdown. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. 13 laps away from halfway here in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas. Kyle Busch from the pole. No one has ever won in 16 previous nationwide races from the pole, and he has been the dominant car, but things could be changing toward the front. That 29's moving in a little bit, guys.
Yeah, might be a new sheriff in town. He's been consistently faster here the last 10 laps. Now you can see he's really running down. The stuff they're working on, that new stuff they're working on this car might be something. They've hit on something.
Yeah, and there's nobody better to have in the car than Jeff Burton, who, again, has a lot to say-so in that. As we see a battle for 4th place here as David Reagan moves in on Tony Stewart, try to take that 4th spot away. Looks like he's going to be able to do it down on the inside.
And remember, Tony did not take tires on that latest pit stop, so his tires are a little bit more worn. And here comes David Rudeman to move in and try to go underneath Stewart for 6th position.
I'm afraid if we have another long green run like we saw at the start of the race, that this is really going to hurt Tony by not taking tires. Here we got a race for the lead heating up.
Jeff Burton has not led a single lap today, and Kyle Busch just waves him right on by.
You got to believe the Kyle Busch car is probably pretty loose if he's not going to race somebody any harder than that right at that point in time. be interesting to hear as we get closer to pit stops and they start asking what adjustments want to make. What is the deal with Kyle's? But for Jeff Burton to be able to run him down that quickly, he was beating him a couple of laps there, 2 3/10, and that's what Kyle had been doing to the field, including Jeff Burton.
But Kyle, I think, has learned when it's time to race, when it's not time not to race after the Vegas incident where he crashed early running for the lead, and he just kind of gave that right here. He knows that there's still a lot of laps left, and he's still thinking about winning this thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we heard him say that. He made a mistake at Vegas by racing his car too early like that. And that's kind of why I didn't have a problem with the way he treated Bristol after the race. It was because he said at Vegas that was his fault, and he expected more than the crew to do their part.
Guys, why don't we let Nationwide get us up to speed on some developing stories, starting out with Kyle Busch and Dave Burns.
Well, let me answer a couple of DJ's questions. First of all, this car is loose everywhere. That's why the 29 was able to pass him. They'll make adjustments on the next stop. And then what about recovering from that tongue lashing he gave his crew at Bristol that we replayed for you in the countdown today? Well, crew chief Jason Ratcliffe told me a couple of things. First of all, his #1 rule is you stand behind your driver. The driver is not to be talked about poorly either in public or behind the scenes. So that's #1. Secondly, 3 days after the incident, Kyle came and visited the crew. He spent some time with them. They talked it over. They know Kyle's heart. They know how he works, and they are standing behind this guy. Jamie?
Well, Dave, the last time Matt Kenseth was in a Nationwide car here at Texas was 2 years ago today, and he won that race. Well, the last pit stop, he sounded like a race-winning driver. He told the team, guys, I don't care what we need right now. We're going to do what Kyle Busch does. They pitted when he pitted. He took 4 tires and went aggressive on that air pressure adjustment on those front tires. It's paying off. He's already gained 4 positions in this last stint. He's up to 13. Vince?
Well, Jamie, the 98 car, Paul Menard, is running 9th, but the team feels like they've got a better car than a 9th place machine, but they had an 18-second pit stop the first time through because of a dropped lug nut. To gain track position on their second stop, they took fuel only. Now they wish they needed, or at least they wish they had those tires on because the car not quite as good as it was earlier. Add on to that the fact that the circuit breaker keeps popping and the fan and blower keeps going off on Paul Menard's helmet, making the driver a bit uncomfortable. For more on that, let's go to Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Thanks, Vince. Folks, we have an intercooler, and that's just for cooling the driver. But he has 2 switches. One controls the fan speed, one just designed to control the coolness. But you got a circuit breaker right here. But if it keeps tripping the circuit breaker, I'd cut the cooler off and just use the fan. Shannon?
Well, right now, Brad Keselowski is running right outside the top 10. That's after he started this race 42nd in a backup car. I spoke with his crew chief, Tony Erie Sr., this morning. He told me he was not concerned about this backup car at all. He told me that every single week they bring 2 of their very best cars to the racetrack. In fact, he told me that sometimes Brad kids them about how much time they spend on the backup car. Tony Sr. told me this morning Brad will be very happy about that backup car here today.
Thanks, Shannon. It was race number 5 a year ago that Brad Keselowski really started to turn his season around. This is race number 5 in 2009. And we talked to Brad Keselowski about being an underdog here in this series.
I kind of like the underdog role. I feel like it actually takes some of the pressure off myself and my team and allows us just to go out there and race. I'm not really worried about what everybody else thinks. I'm just ready to go do it.
Showing he's not worried at all, guys. Back in 40 seconds where he started, and now you see the progression all the way up to 11th position. He has led a lap today to get those 5 bonus points to try to move into the top 10 in the point standings when this day is done.
He's had the performance this year. They just have not gotten the finishes, and they've made some mistakes on and off the racetrack and on pit road. But if they get all that worked out, he knows. That's why he's confident. He knows they've got a car that's capable of getting good finishes.
Now, a moment ago, his car owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's already had issues with a loose left front tire, had issues with the wall.
Flirting with that high groove over in 3 and 4. I don't know if he got it just a little bit too high or not there.
Yeah, and that's part of that transition that we talked about and talked with Tony Stewart about. As you come out of the turns here, it really flattens out quickly. You have to give yourself a little bit of room, and he just got a little bit too close there, a little too high and into the wall.
So when they talk about having to hold your nose when you come off of turn 2, they're not talking about a smell. They're talking about the race car, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a difficult racetrack for the drivers. And again, carrying that much speed out of here, you have to be really precise in giving yourself enough room to exit these corners.
And We are halfway home here at Texas Motor Speedway, the O'Reilly 300. And now some of the veterans starting to get a little more racy toward the front. Two-time Nationwide Series winner at this racetrack, Matt Kenseth, is showing in third spot. Kenseth trying to get back to victory lane. Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, in second. But they're all chasing Jeff Burton, who hasn't won in a couple of years.
Next day and week. Watching Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch continuing to lead this race. Remember, just a little while ago on a set of pit stops, Tony Stewart's team, while we have a lead change going on, let's deal with that for just a minute.
Looks like Kyle Busch has found his way back up to that clean air. I think he and Jeff Burton are going to take turns swapping this lead back and forth here over these next 90 laps. See what happens at the end.
It's always tempting to say when you see something like that, there's no chance Kyle Busch was just dropping back to size him up before. Was there?
I doubt that.
Mr. Driver, Mr. Harvick?
I think as you're riding along, I think you want to make sure that you go as hard as you can so you know what to do on the next pit stop.
All right, so I mentioned a little while ago, strategy play by the Kevin Harvick Incorporated team. Tony Stewart just getting fuel on the pit stop at lap 68. Came off with the lead, but he's fallen back now, Dave, to 9th spot. What are they saying?
And, of course, Ernie Cope is very well aware that his owner is in our studio today, but no extra pressure today knowing the owner's up there. Why did you guys not take tires that time, Ernie?
Well, we only had 9 laps on the tires, and I was hoping to get about a 20-lap run and get another caution, but that ain't worked out, so we just got to deal with it now.
How tough to adjust him knowing the tires are so old and he's telling you about chassis conditions?
Yeah, Rhett, the car's just gotten really tight. Probably put a heat cycle on the tires, and I just wish we would have took tires, but now this is what we got, so hopefully we can pit and fix it.
All right, thanks, Ernie. Kevin, I just want to know, when you've been out there that long, that strategy call has been made and you're on those old tires. What are you thinking?
You want to put a knife in your back. That's usually what you're thinking. I mean, it's usually when you have to start thinking about it like that, and if you get off sequence when you're running with the leaders like that, you'd be lucky to stay on the lead lap right here. So, in a place like this where you know the tires are falling off and you know things are dependent upon those tires, and 9 laps is 9 laps, and you're going to be in trouble.
Kevin, you just heard him talking about the car falling off and the tires falling off. But we heard him say the car got tight. Wouldn't the car be loose if the tires are falling off that quick?
Well, usually what happens here is once you get that cycle on the tires, the cars don't usually turn as good in the center of the corner because they just lose that little bit of grip, and you got to have tires at this place, and sometimes you wish you were sitting down there with them to make sure that they did that.
Hey, Kevin, I have a question. Are you any more involved in a decision like that when you're driving your own car than what you would be driving for Richard Childress?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times Ernie and I talk about that, and usually in these races, when you're in a position to win the race, you do what the leader does, and if he's going to put 4 tires on and you don't put 4 tires on, you're putting yourself in a box. They put themselves in a box where they were hoping for a quick caution so that they could have an extra set of tires, and now they'll be lucky to stay on the lead lap.
Those are the words of Kevin Harvick, our most recent winner, and that's the guy that's driving for him today, Tony Stewart. And by the way, I understand it was Tony Stewart's idea back in 2004, Kevin, for you guys, you and Delana, to actually start the NASCAR Nationwide Series team.
Yeah, back in 2004, we were just a full-time truck team, and Tony wanted to go do something a little bit different on Saturday, and he had Kid Rock to come along and promote his new album, and so we put a car together and ran the first race there at Charlotte and had a good time with it, and one thing led to another, and Old Spice came along, and we were able to put together, Tony, 10 or 12 races, and one thing led to another, and we had 2 full-time teams. So back to one team and 2 full-time truck teams and a part-time truck team, and here we are.
And the rest is history. Tony ended up winning 2 in a row at Daytona for the KHI. Lots of position swapping up toward the front. Rudeman able to go by, and you see Edwards and these guys making moves. That is Carl Edwards in the 60 car back in 5th. David Reagan has lost a couple of spots, but possibly pit stops coming up when we come back to Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch, our leader, Burton, Kenseth, Rudeman, and Edwards in the top 5. Points leader Carl Edwards currently running 5th in the O'Reilly 300 at Texas. And you see there Kyle Busch, the big gainer thus far. Of course, Kevin Harvick, who was 2nd in the point standings, opting not to run this race, joining us as an analyst. David Reagan moving up a couple of spots, and Jason Leffler Moving into the top 5, Brendan Gaughan, the rookie driver, holding right now in 4th position. Well, we're moving in on pit stops. This should be this stop in about 4 or 5 laps. But the caution
is down for debris. Caution is up.
That will be the second caution flag today, and that comes just in time. They were getting ready to come down pit road to make a major adjustment on some of these guys.
That was a full green flag run, just about. They were almost ready to pit. Mike Bliss gets back on the lead lap with that. He's going to be the lucky dog on this one. Free pass winner.
Tony Stewart dropped all the way back to 11th, so we'll have to see if they can get a good pit stop here, make a few adjustments on that car, and see if he can work his way back to the top 5.
So Mike Bliss is our Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass winner, and he will be able to get back, get that lap back and get back on the lead lap. He needs to get a break after having so much misfortune the last couple of races at Las Vegas and Bristol. Guys, a lot of discussions ongoing here just before the caution came out among some of the top drivers about what they wanted to do here on this pit stop.
They need to do something because Kyle Busch has got him whipped right now.
Yeah, well, we know Kyle Busch started out a little bit too loose, and he doesn't want his car to wait that long for his car to come in, especially for a rate lace situation. It looked like Jeff Burton's car had gotten tight on him, so he'll probably be adjusting back the other way a little bit. Maybe they'll meet in the middle and get some side-by-side racing here.
Got to wonder what Dan Stillman here in the Roush pits will do. Roush Fenway guys for Carl Edwards to get him up there.
Yeah, David Rudeman worked his way all the way up into 4th position in that 10 car, so he might have something for these guys.
Tony Stewart's going to get some tires on that car. He needs that. I'm sure he'll be moving back to the front.
Never count Tony Stewart out, folks. Remember, last year he ran only 9 races here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and won 5 of them.
Yeah.
This year he's 1 for 1 at Daytona.
Joey Logano will bring in the top 10. He's 7th. How about Brad Keselowski? Coming from the back of the pack, he's got himself up in the top 10. Now he's kind of he's on even par with these guys. He can come get tires. He's going to start up there in the top 10 and could work his way up into the top 5 before this day's out.
Yeah, Brad finished 7th here last fall and qualified for the Cup race here this weekend. Made his Cup debut here last fall and with a top 20 finish in the Sprint Cup car. Here they come. They will peel off 45 miles an hour, and Kyle Busch leading Jeff Burton down. Let's go down and cover the Burton pit stop. Shannon.
Doc, Jeff Burton has finished 2nd at this racetrack 3 times. He says the car has really gone tight on him. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment and 4 tires for this 29 car. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth comes in 3rd. He says the car's gotten better, but he's tight across the middle, needs some more front grip. He asked for a wedge adjustment, air pressure on the right side. Dave?
Carl Edwards a little bit loose on the gas. They will lower the air pressures in all 4 tires, also make a wedge adjustment in that 60 car. As for the leader, Kyle Busch, he will add Sunoco fuel to his race car, 4 tires, and 1.5 rounds down on the track bar to fix that loose race car. He will easily win the race off pit road.
Adjustments on pit road. Kyle Busch's loose race car, but loose as fast as Harry Hyde said in Days of Thunder, and Kyle Busch has been just that and more all day long. Joey Logano gaining a couple spots in the pits. We come back to green flag again at Texas. Working second caution flag today here at Texas Motor Speedway, NASCAR Nationwide Series race, and everyone's been on and off pit road. Kyle Busch, our leader. Why don't we visit with our in-race reporter, Tony Stewart, being shown back in 12th position.
Hey, Smokedale Jared, you got a copy? Ma'am. Hey, excluding that last run, how's your car now that you've got 4 tires back on it?
Definitely, I think, going to feel better with 4 this time. We only had 9 laps on them last time, and I think it hurt us a little more than we thought it would. But we're back on the same tires for the rest of these guys now, and we'll hopefully we'll get her freed up enough here to where we can roll the center, and we'll be in good shape.
Hey, Tony, I know you were around the 18 a lot, or just a little bit there. Could you see maybe where his car is better? I mean, he's led the majority of the laps here again today.
Yeah, it handles pretty good in a straight line. I mean, you're going to have to be absolutely perfect to run with that thing down the straightaway right now. But you know, he's got his car working too. I mean, he can get in the gas early, and that always helps. But it's not lacking anything in a straight line for sure.
All right, Tony. Good luck. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks, bud.
Folks, when he says it's handling on the straightaways, that means that it's got really good horsepower. 32 car, we are being told possibly a power steering issue with Bernie Lamar's Toyota. We'll update that momentarily. Coming to the green flag, 77 laps to go. It has been the sort of a replay of last year for Kyle Busch, who led 174 laps here last fall. Busch will lead him down. Burton, Kenseth, Rudiman, and Logano in the top 5.
See how Burton's going to stack up on this run. Last run, Burton had the best car in the early part of the run before Kyle Busch was able to get back by him.
And you know, you can do that. You can get your car tightened up to where it feels really good those first 20 or 25 laps of a run. Then you pay the price. We'll see if Jeff Burton was able to adjust his car to kind of balance it out a little bit more between that, and if Kyle Busch went the other way with his to get him going a little bit better.
Saw a bit of a wiggle there in the 5 car. It's Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's actually 3rd on the racetrack, but he's being shown 3 laps down in 23rd position.
You see Steve Wallace there. He's in the 14th spot. He is the first car a lap down right now. He's on the inside of Dale Jr. in that 5 car.
Behind Jr. is a 16 car of Kenseth. He is actually in 3rd place on the racetrack, and then behind him is the 10 of Rudiman. You see Kenseth there trying to go to the outside of Wallace, and there's Rudiman on the bottom of the racetrack.
Oh, 3 wide off turn 4 through the tri-oval here. It looks pretty wide, but there's not a lot of space right there. David Rudiman's been really impressive in this car today. Driving his way up through the pack. Trying to take the 3rd spot from Matt Kenseth right now.
Update more on Rudiman. Shannon.
Well, Doc, they call this car the Golden Child. This is the car that drove to victory lane with Kyle Busch behind the wheel last year. Braun Racing's favorite chassis. David Rudiman did not make any changes on that last pit stop. They're good with this car.
Rudiman running a limited schedule this year. He will drive this car about 15 times. Also going to drive for his regular Cup car owner, Michael Waltrip Racing, at Memphis, where Rudiman got his first nationwide victory last fall.
Jeff Burton is not letting Kyle Busch get too far out. Tracking him pretty good right now.
These guys are going to have to make one more pit stop before this is over.
And if they make another long run, it'll be a short segment at the end of the race, and that's when these crew chiefs have to start thinking about how to adjust that car, just like we're talking about. Do we adjust for a long run or short run?
Just looking at speeds and things, it doesn't look like any of the other drivers right now have gotten themselves positioned. Even though Matt Kenseth is solidly in 3rd, it doesn't look like he's in the same class as what Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch are for the win. But as we said, we have one more pit stop, and it looks like Matt's made his car a little bit better from the beginning of the day.
Yeah, he's still checking his watch, and it says it's not quite time yet. We'll see what he's got here in about 30, 40 laps.
Kyle Busch has seen this story, though, before. He dominated the day at Bristol last time out in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, led over 150 laps, but it was Kevin Harvick that went to victory lane, and Kyle Busch also dominated the truck race at Martinsville, only to be passed with a few laps to go and lose the victory there.
I just saw that 18 car slip off turn 4.
He wiggled right in the middle of 3, and that he had to chase that race car a long way. He was able to do that. Dave, what's he saying about that 18 car now?
No complaints about the handling right now, guys, but he's got a couple of mechanical gremlins. Number 1, my feet are on fire, said Kyle during that last caution. First one of these cars that's done that to me. They said they would check it out when they get the car home, so that's uncomfortable. But he also said after the green flag start, as we see the 12 car going underneath the 38 car, that he has a tachometer that has blown up, in his words. No pit road speed, he said. So that final pit stop for Kyle Busch, he won't have that normal check that he has on pit road speed, as we see now. So that's Kyle Busch's story, guys.
See Logano, they're going by Rudiman for position. That's 4th spot.
When they made that last caution flag pit stop, I saw the 18 car slow way down when he got on pit road, and we almost saw the 29 car get into him. I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, you know, and one solution to that, especially if they have to make green flag pit stops, would be to get behind Jeff Burton if he's the guy that's still close to him, and follow him down pit road for a ways. But Jeff Burton pits pretty early, and Kyle Busch has to go all the way down pit road, so that could create a problem, whether it's green flag or caution conditions, just going down pit road.
Carl Edwards trying to move in on the 10 car of Rudiman for 5th position. Behind him is Keselowski back in 6th spot, then David Reagan and Tony Stewart, and the rookie Allgaier in 10th. Kyle Busch has led 111 laps trying to pick up his second win of 2009. He won his first and last race of 2008 at this racetrack a year ago. Talking about young talent, Kyle Busch. He has yet to get a top 15 in the last 4 races. He's due, but can he hang on? Here he comes.
Kyle Busch, victory lane in Texas.
Back up front, Kyle Busch, a 9-time winner in 2008. If he could win this race today, he would tie Sam Ard for the most wins in a single season.
See that race car is hunting that clean air. He is gone.
Number 10. Holy crap, you guys are awesome.
That was the total domination here in Texas 1 year ago, and today, once again, Rowdy Busch roughing up the competition in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Let's get you up to speed on our leaders. We head down today.
Doc, on that last pit stop, they went down a round and a half on the track bar. That changed the chassis to make it just a little bit tighter for Kyle. He said, I could still stand some more. It is better. Look for that change again on their final pit stop. Shannon?
David, was an air pressure adjustment for the 29 car on that last pit stop. They were a little bit tight. No word from Jeff Burton right now. He is just smooth sailing right behind the 18, trying to catch up and make the move for first. Jeff Burton has been the biggest motivator of his team over the radio today, getting his guys pumped up all day long. Jamie?
Matt Kenseth really felt like they were making strides, but on the last restart, he got frustrated with himself. He wasn't fast enough to get around Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's ahead of him in the 5 car. He said Dale is really holding him up, making his car extremely tight. He's apologizing to the team, guys. He needs to shake Dale Jr. if he wants to gain on those front runners.
The 20 car of Joey Logano is coming strong. Dave Rogers, do you have enough here down the stretch? You've thrown a lot at it today.
I'm not sure. These GameStop guys have been working real hard on this Toyota Camry today. We just started the race way too tight. We've been freeing it up. We finally got a little too free. We'll snug it up last run and hopefully get Kyle a run for his money.
He's the only one on the track that's got the same stuff as Kyle Busch. We'll see if he's got enough at the end. Dave Burns?
Vince Carl Edwards came into today leading the Drivers' Championship. Here's the condition of his race car in his own words.
Just a hair snug right now. When the nose is down, I'm charging in the corner. It's like a flat tire tight, you know, like there's tires fold under. I think it's going to get better here.
This is a race car that won twice last year. They need another adjustment to get it to victory lane today. Doc?
Dave, the adjustments will have to come on the next pit stop. Brad Keselowski goes by. And what about possible strategy? Could we see some short pitting when we come back? Getting that window opening up and coming in before they have to come in. Maybe to do something to catch that guy, Kyle Busch. We'll talk about what may happen when we come back in just a moment.
ABC is your NBA destination tomorrow. Action starts at 1 Eastern in Cleveland. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and the Spurs take on LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. You ever play for them, Brad? I think you did. Then at 3:30 Eastern, Shaquille O'Neal and the Suns face Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks.
I got Shaq's shoe. How's he going to play?
The NBA on ABC. Sunday coverage starting at 12:30 Eastern with GMC NBA Countdown. For more, log on to ESPN.com. We are at 51 laps to go. Just hitting now 50 to go. 3/4 of the way through this race. Kyle Busch out in front. Still another set of pit stops to go. And Dave, some further information on that tachometer radio transmission?
Well, and also the foot discomfort he's having. He says, I am not comfortable right now. This race can't end soon enough for Kyle. He hopes it ends in victory lane. Now, his tachometer was malfunctioning. He heard from the 20 team that Joey Logano was having the same issue. The needle died, but they have lights on there that can tell the driver what their tachometer reading is. Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage, I understand you've got some of those gauges down there. What do they look like and how do they work?
We definitely have the gauges down here. Autometer, they came up with a brand new gauge system. But when the needle goes away, look, Dave, when we get up in this caution area right here, that gives us a point of, hey, we might be in trouble. But when we get up here, or when the tachometer starts flashing red and the red lights come on, you better back that thing back down there and get it in the caution area. Alan?
right, Tim, thanks. Kevin Harvick here with us in the pit studio, and you were talking when the report came in about the needle, saying, well, that's not as big a deal anymore. You got a lot going on when you're coming down pit road, trying to maintain that speed, trying to get all you can, and so on. How helpful have those new tacks been with the lights on them?
Well, you don't have to worry about the needle jumping around as much, and basically, I would assume he's probably got a spec tack in there, which is the type of gauge, and basically what it is just like the odometer gauge that they just showed. The lights light up, and when you're all green, you basically want to go, the way I have mine set up is you go all green with one red light flashing. So the needle not working is really not a big deal. You wouldn't even really notice if it didn't have the needle, because all the lights are what you look for on that pit road speed, and they can narrow it down to about 5, 10, 15, whatever you want those light segments to be, so you're right on pit road speed and don't give anything up.
Jeff Burton, your teammate on the Sprint Cup side of Richard Childress Racing. You've been watching his car and his race progress. He seems to get there on Kyle Busch, at least in this segment of the race, but then can't stay there.
Yeah, it looks like his car is, when he gets close enough, it's a little bit too tight up off the corner. Kyle's car is free enough to where he can keep the throttle down up off the corner and keep that momentum. It looks like that's where he's beating him.
Brad, I figured out why Kyle Busch is uncomfortable in that race car.
He doesn't have his shoe.
He's wearing Shaquille O'Neal's shoe. That'd be uncomfortable.
He left it. If he had it on, it wouldn't be burning his foot. I guarantee you with this thing.
46 laps to go, another round of pit stops to come. Kyle Busch has dominated the day so far, but Jeff Burton has been trying to stay with him. Can he do something to get around him in this last run of the race? Don't go away.
Working lap 160 of the O'Reilly 300 at Texas, which means there will be 40 laps to go. And there's your leader, Kyle Busch.
Spin off turn 4, Brendan Gaughan.
Gone sideways through the grass and down out of harm's way.
Quarter straight, keep going. All right, there you go.
And that will indeed bring out the caution flag for the third time today.
Trying to go around a lap car there. It just got a little bit high and looked like when he got back in the throttle.
That 81 car, I think it was Kevin Hamlin. And Gaughan has been using that extreme high line through there and making a lot of ground. I think he surprised some of these guys when he catches them that way.
Let's see what happened to Brendan there, trying to get underneath the lap car, the 81 car of Kevin Hamlin.
Well, it looks like he just lost it.
Yeah, you could see he ran up on him and got back in the throttle, and then he had to move up a little bit, and I think it was at that point maybe he had to put a little more wheel in it.
Pretty good job, though.
Did a great job.
No damage.
We were talking about some short pitting. All that strategy will go out the window as they will make what should be their final stop of the day. Remember, you're only allowed 6 sets of tires here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series to cut costs, so many of these teams will use that final set of tires on what should be the money stop. The 15 car, Michael Annett, another one of the rookies, will get the lucky dog free pass. He will get able to get one of his laps back and get on the lead lap, making us giving us 14 cars now on the lead lap. Well, it's money stop time, Shannon, and the Jeff Burton car headed to you.
Yeah, this is the money stop for that green 29. They need help on exit. What Jeff Burton is saying, they're going to go up half a round on that track bar and just go ahead with an air pressure adjustment. It is 4 sticker tires for the 29. Jamie.
And Matt Kenseth getting counted down. He said the car was definitely better this time around. 4 tires and fuel for the 16. See if he can make up some time. Vince?
The 20 car of Joey Logano is in. Logano running in the top 5. They've gone from way tight to just a tick free. They're going down 1 round on the track bar, putting on 4 fresh tires. Dave?
Kyle Busch could read his tack. He doesn't believe he spent. They put 4 tires on, half round down on the track bar to fix the looseness in the back end. And again, he will maintain that race off pit road, guys.
Jeff Burton had a bad stop, lost 5 positions.
See the stampede off pit road. Allgaier, the rookie Allgaier, trying to get 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, gaining 8 positions, and it was very congested coming off pit road. There's Allgaier, and watch the 88 and the 60. Logano coming by. Back with the green flag in just a moment. It was a rough beginning of the weekend for Brad Keselowski. His mayonnaise machine just mashed against the wall in qualifying. Had to go to a backup car and start 42nd in a car that had not been on the racetrack. Sort of the emblematic of what's happened in 2009 for Brad Keselowski, but it was a year ago in race number 5 that he turned his season around. And take a look at the progression there from 42nd now all the way to 2nd position for the 88 car. Shannon.
Well, down here with Pops, what a run for you guys here today in this backup car. Second right now. Do you guys have anything for the 18?
Seems like we do after 10 or 12 laps, but he's pretty fast to start with, so just hope we got enough to stay with him here for a little while, wear him down a little bit. But, you know, the 29, there's a couple more of them pretty good there, too. But Helmut's car's running good today. The guys did a good job getting back in the car ready.
All right, Doc.
That's Pops Fury, crew chief for Brad Kozlowski, and we'll see if Brad can hang with the 18. Getting a little bit of a challenge from behind by Joey Logano.
One thing that 18 car always does, no matter how it's handled, it gets going on these restarts.
He's ready to get in the gas from the word go.
Brendan Gaughan got in the wall there just a little bit.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan had been penalized a moment ago for too fast entering pit road after he had spun and saved the car. Also, the 52 is penalized of Kevin LePage, but the 12 car of Justin Allgaier was penalized for too fast exiting the pits, and he had to start at the tail end the longest line. Here's the rookie at the back of the pack.
Ryan, we got something broke. A broken A-arm.
Something wrong with Burton here.
Had problems on that pit stop a moment ago. It cost him some time on pit road with some lug nuts on the left rear tire. That's why he lost so many positions, and he just sort of started to slow, and now seems to be picking back up a little bit.
He's having to scramble around this traffic right now, and that may be what he's struggling with.
Yeah, that's part of it, and they've also been trying to loosen this car up some, so they may have gone, they were going to make a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment, may have gone a little bit too far to get up to speed and get going like he had been.
Burton being shown in 11th position. That's you see Leffler behind him trying to make a move. In front of him, Mike Bliss in 10th spot. Bliss coming from a lap down to get back in the top 10.
Yeah, that air will change as much as anything, as much as not the air pressure in the tires, but the air getting back here in the dirty air with Jeff Burton having to battle these cars. So that'll change your car a lot more than what you can ever imagine. You think, well, it's not a big deal, but you're not getting that air to the front end.
It'll change your whole world. I mean, it really is hard to believe how much it changes the car.
Yeah, you come up with all kinds of things telling the crew chief or in your mind as to what's happened, what's going on with the car now, the engine won't run as good, everything.
These bad pit stops are real hard to overcome when they come late in the race. They come in the beginning or the middle, you can overcome it, but when they come in that last stop, it is almost impossible to overcome it.
Just see what a battle it's got him in, a hornet's nest. These are all good race cars, and it's not like even though his car's really good and has been all day, he can't just go up there and pass them.
And if he does pass him, he'll use up a lot of car doing it, and he might not have enough for Kyle Busch even if he did have a good enough car.
See, that's Menard in front of him, and up in front of Menard is Tony Stewart. That's those are the 8th, 9th, and 10th place cars.
You know, guys, I think, you know, they've obviously got the car better, but if the cautions come out here timely, I believe they have a set of tires laying in the pit, so it would have to be in a real fine window here for the caution to come out and them to put those tires on to make them beneficial, but they do have that set of tires laying in the pits.
Yeah, that is one factor right there. Tony's got a little ace in the hole there.
Kevin, he would almost have to have some help with a couple of other guys coming down pit road, too, to where he can't get back outside the top 10 and make that work really good, could he?
Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, as much as the times are falling off, I mean, if they get to a point where there's, 15 laps to go here, the lap cars will be in the back of the pack. So, you can pump those tires up and make something happen, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
That's Kevin Harvick, by the way. Folks, you're listening to the car owner for Tony Stewart, and what Kevin's referring to is the new NASCAR rule this year that it's single file restart within the final 20 laps, not the 10 laps. So that would give a little more of a window for Tony Stewart if he were to come down and put some fresh tires on with 15 to 17 laps to go.
Only looks like he has his car working really good on the bottom of the racetrack here now.
Yeah, they were having, it looked like he was having a little trouble getting through the center, and he was trying to move up, right there at that first seam and not making very good time. But now they've got the thing back on the bottom, and that's, if the car that wins the race here, I told Richard this before the day even started today. He said, that high groove's looking good. I said, yeah, but the car that wins the race will be on the bottom.
That high groove, somewhere you can go if you don't have a good car and you're searching for something that can help you a little bit, but it's usually not the place that you're going to win the race here at Texas.
No, and you know, the Texas Motor Speedway has widened out a lot, and you can see the whole racetrack is being used, but man, right around that white line is where you're going to make the best time.
And as they came by a moment ago, you saw how the wind now picking up a little bit, that American flag waving out pretty firmly there coming off turn 4 with the tailwind behind them coming out of 4.
Yeah, and that makes it, you know, it looks like it's blowing, actually at the exit of turn 4, it's kind of blowing the car up the racetrack, and that makes it even worse because you get tight right there, and then wind whips across the racetrack, and the thing pushes even worse than it normally does. So the wind is a definite element that can affect the car, and here at Texas Motor Speedway sometimes it blows really, really hard, and a lot of times it blows down the back straightaway, but today it's kind of a crosswind.
Inside of 30 laps to go, 26 laps to go, and it has been Kyle Busch's day. He has led 4 times for 152 laps. Brad Keselowski back in second spot, has come all the way from 42nd starting position in a backup car to run second. Joey Logano trying to do his sponsor proud. They're based in nearby Grapevine, Texas. Carl Leverage is 4th, and Matt Kenseth currently running 5th. Just 21 laps remaining here at Texas Motor Speedway in the O'Reilly 300 NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Kyle Busch has dominated today, but he has had some issues to be concerned about. Let's check in his pits with Dave.
Well, Doc, you know how when you call tech support and the first thing they tell you is, sir, did you unplug your computer and restart it? And you say, oh, man, I know it's something worse than that. Well, listen to how Kyle fixed his tech.
Your lights worked okay there? Yeah, right now I got the whole thing back somehow. I shut the car off and reset everything, and I don't know if that did it for me or what. But when we got the caution, I just got it in neutral and just started shutting everything off and just rebooting the whole system.
And Jason Ratcliffe's response to that? Cool.
Dave, that car is so fast, maybe the tack was tired. We talked about the frustrations at the beginning of 2009, just like a year ago for Brad Keselowski. And last year it was race number 5 where Brad made a big move in the points. He gained 5 spots with a top 5 finish. Folks, here we are in 2009, and Brad Keselowski came in 15th in points. And you see there's the finishes he's had in the first 4 races. Right now he would move all the way to 7th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series standings.
Pretty impressive run. You know, he stayed on the lead lap and drove all the way to 13th at the beginning of the race from 43rd without a caution. Just drove right straight up through there. So he's really had to work hard today, but it's paying off for him. And he was actually a little quicker than Kyle Busch the last couple of laps.
Yeah, and I think these guys realize that their performance and their finishes weren't showing up as to exactly what this team was. So I think they stayed very positive. Brad stayed positive about what he could do as the driver in the car, and today is showing exactly what they had. And I know as bad as he wants to win right now, this is what they need, to just stay here, not make any mistakes here in these last 17 laps, and have a great finish today.
You know, that's good. And right in this position, you can say that, hey, let's just take what we got here. But if he gets up there close and he can smell that lead, it's going to be hard to hold him back. Shannon?
Well, guys, you heard Tony Yeary Sr. say that car was going to take a couple of laps to come to him. It's about 21 laps, 22 laps since the caution flag, since they came down in pit, and that car is starting to come to him. He's turning the same speed laps as Kyle Busch in front of him, and they're letting him know in that 88 car that Kyle is struggling in front of him.
He is struggling just a little bit. I mean, Kyle Busch is losing just a little bit of that lead to Brad Keselowski right now.
Yeah, and if Kyle catches traffic at the wrong part of the racetrack, then that lets Brad get right to his bumper.
Hey, guys, remember Bristol last year? I know it's a different racetrack and a different era, but Brad Keselowski started 37th and drove that car all the way to the front and won the race.
Well, we saw where he likes to be an underdog. Yep, it's working for him today.
And he's moving in on Rowdy Busch here in the final 15 laps.
He's once again faster by a little over a tenth of a second.
95.
And this is what I'm talking about right there. You can see that slows down Kyle Busch just a little bit. Brad ought to be a little bit faster this lap, too.
Kenny Hendricks' 42 car pinching the 18 down into the corner. And you see now, as you said, DJ, 88 moving in.
He's coming. Kyle's going to have some more traffic to deal with here coming up also.
Makes you wonder if they'd adjusted on that 18 car a little bit.
Yeah. Here. Still 14 to go here. Lots of time.
He's getting to that area you were talking about, Andy, now that second's not. Yeah, second was okay a little bit ago whenever that 18 was pulling away, but now he smells victory.
When you can reach out and touch that car, you'll do a lot of things to try to win that race.
When the day began, everyone would have said the 88's got to be a long shot here in the Longhorn State, but right now, folks, he is driving this car the best he has driven all year long, and if he can just stay out of trouble for about, 14 more laps, he's got a shot at getting to victory lane.
You get up there and you can see you closing in, then you realize, well,
32 flat. Here's 195.
That is Kyle Busch driving that car. He's about as good as there is out front or anywhere else, but it's going to be a difficult task in trying to pass him.
He's got a tiger by the tail, but he's going to go for it. I mean, he's there.
Got a car in the wall just in front of these guys.
So we got one up in the wall, 4 there. Stay low. Caution is out. Stay low. Caution's out. Stay low. Low. All clear.
John West Townley, the rookie, in the wall, bringing out caution for the 4th time. And as you heard Kevin Harvick say about 10 minutes ago, if we can get a caution flag, we meeting the 33 car.
Yeah, he wanted it with 15 to go, but hey, 12's pretty close.
What do you think, man?
I know what I think. I put the tires on.
I think still he's going to have some other cars to go with
stay
him.
out and try past them.
If he could do that and make it work and get back in that top 6 or 7, he's running 6th right now. If he could get a lot of these guys behind him to come in with him, that would be the key.
One thing the crew chief's been watching is how is the car now? Has he been able to pass cars, and can he pass some of the guys in front of him with the tires that he has on? That's what we just heard him saying. So that makes it even a tougher decision, because if you're just sitting out there struggling, trying to hold on and maybe losing spots, it's a no-brainer to change tires. But if you got a pretty good car and you're able to pass them, you hate to give up that track position.
Yeah, this is when you get those ulcers as a crew chief, isn't it?
I think most of them are out of tires.
And the reason, again, they would be out of tires because
he's coming. They're coming. Come with them. We got 4 fresh ones.
Because you're only allowed 6 sets in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and they saved a set.
It's like Kyle Busch is coming too, or at least he's going to fake them.
We're coming.
There we go.
10-4, 4 tires, no gas.
Okay. A bit of a fake by Busch and Keselowski, but Tony Stewart will come down. So will David Reagan, Ruderman.
He got a break right here. Tony Stewart pulled a lot of cars off the racetrack with him, so that's going to help him. Those cars he will not have to pass if he has a good stop.
Yeah, if he would have been the only one coming and gone back to 14th, then he probably would have been going to be lucky to get back to 6th, but this would work out really good.
Again, only 14 cars on the lead lap, and it'll be a single file restart. Dave.
And Tony Stewart knew that the back half would probably come along with him, but they are going to take those 4 fresh tires, 0 laps on them. They're stickers, so they'll be very fresh, very good for the 33. We'll see if he can work his way back through all this traffic.
Here they come off of pit road. Well, now we've got Mr. Smoke Tony Stewart with 4 fresh Goodyears and a bit of desire to get up front and win this race.
That's what you want to be, is that first guy off of pit road and be the first car with fresh tires.
Tony coming up to speed, and he is our in-race reporter. Let's see if we can check in and visit with Tony.
Hey, Smoke, Dale Jarrett, you got a copy?
Yeah, bud.
Well, now, things have changed here. 4 fresh tires. Those guys up in front of you didn't have that. You got enough to get them?
I hope so. I hope I can make these up, because if it didn't work, it was my fault. I called it. So I don't know. I want that chance at them, though. I don't think we could have got. We might have been able to get one of them, but I don't think we were going to get the rest of them. I want that chance of getting in that top 3.
Did you make any chassis adjustments there, or just 4 tires?
I think we just got the 4 tires there. We made the call pretty late there, so I think we're good we're good enough for 10 laps to do what we need to do. It's just after that we start getting tight.
Okay, man. Good luck. Have fun.
But
well, guys, any thoughts on Tony Stewart? Fresh tires. I guess he's probably like us, trying to figure out how soon he can get around these guys. He'll have probably, with the restart, about 8 laps to go and 5 cars to pass.
Well, I guess they kind of proved me wrong there. They saved that set of tires. I saw a lot of guys putting scuffs on there, but you know, for the most part, when you pump those tires up and they get these cycles on them here, you're gonna gain some time on most everybody except for the leader. He might get out there a little bit, but for the most part, I think tires are going to mean something.
I just want all of you people watching to know, and the guys upstairs, when that car came down pit road, this man was sitting here going like this.
I mean, you're going to run 6th or 7th. He's here to win the race, and if we finish 15th, I don't care. As long as he has a chance to win the race, that's all I care about.
It's going to be fun.
Ends up being a good call, though. I think he gets those fresh tires. Like he said, he may only been able to get one of those spots, but right now, I mean, Tony's sitting in the catbird seat. He could possibly get up there to 3rd. I don't know if he's got anything for Kyle Busch, but I think he can make it very interesting.
Yeah, I think if the leader doesn't get out there too far, it's all a matter of what happens here on these first couple of laps and getting around those guys. The lap cars are going to be gone, and I think you know, it all you have a chance, and that's all you can ask for.
That's right.
All right. Well, Kyle Busch is the man who's led most of this race. He's led, what is that, 168 of the 190 we've run so far, Dave, but they got a few to go before they can take the trophy.
And the 88 car coming, Jason Ratcliffe. You know the 88 is very quick at the end of that run. The 33 is also starting 7th with fresh tires. What are the chances for Kyle?
Kyle's done a great job today, and NOS Energy Drink Toyota's been good. We started off real good and started bolting stickers on the thing, got really loose. So we've been working on it all day, trying to tighten up. Guys have done a good job on pit road, keeping him out front. And now maybe we've jumped the fence just a little bit, but that 88's been good all day. Those guys got him off pit road there, but Kyle's usually pretty good with 10 to go, so I like our chances.
He asked you to stand by maybe for 2 right side tires and fuel. Did you know he was going to fake them?
Well, I don't think he knew he was going to fake them at that time. I think he just wanted to be ready, you know, stay in his mirror, see what they do. Definitely cool right side tires would be quicker for a few laps. But track position and clean air is so critical. And with, you know, possibly, 7 to go here, and we may get another caution, I'll take the track position. I think he agrees.
All right, they've played their hand, guys. Dave Rogers, you didn't have fresh tires to put on the 20. How big of a difference will that make for the 33, and what did you tell your driver for this last stretch?
Well, it's definitely going to be an advantage for the 33. I haven't been scanning them for a while, so I don't know where their handle is, but definitely be an advantage for them. I told my driver, we got what we got, smash the gas, time to go.
There you go, guys. Simple enough. Jamie?
And Eddie Pardue with Matt Kenseth. You guys are in some traffic, single file restart. Do you have the car to get to the front?
Well, City Financial Ford Fusion was better than the run before this, and we're not at our best right now, but we got Matt Kenseth, and we'll see what we can do. But I'm not real happy with the way we race played out here, but we'll do our best.
Well, Matt Kenseth's won 2 times here. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. So now, Kevin, put me inside the race car. Tony Stewart knows he's 7th for the restart, probably going to have 7 laps to go. He's got the fresh tires. What's he looking for? What's he thinking? What's going to happen?
You're looking for a gap. Anywhere you can go right now, you want to go up to the top of the racetrack, and hopefully your car sticks. And at this point, it's kind of throw caution to the wind and see what you can do from there. So it's all about these first couple laps and not letting that leader get too far away.
Got Justin Allgaier up there in 6th position. Brad Keselowski, as we talked about earlier, has made a nice charge. It's going to be a heck of a finish.
Just a couple things. The last lead change has occurred in this race within 10 laps to go 7 times. Will today be number 8? We're going to find out.
Last Saturday at Martinsville, Kyle Busch led the bulk of a truck race but did not go to victory lane. 2 weeks ago from today, it was at Bristol that Kyle Busch led over 150 laps and did not go to victory lane. He's probably hungry since somehow that's going to change. I've led the bulk of the laps today, but now he's got some hungry guys behind him, including one Brad Keselowski, who says, I need to put all the bad luck in 2009 behind me and win this one. And, of course, the 33 of Tony Stewart back there with fresh Goodyears.
It's going to be 7 to go when you get the green. No pressure there. You straight away them guys last time. Just don't overdrive it there. You know what you got. 10-4, guys. Thanks for a great car. I'll do what I can here. Better be smart.
Brad Keselowski from 42nd starting spot in a backup car without a lap on it, and now is just 8 laps away from a shot at getting the victory here at Texas.
Keselowski spun the wheels right there, and that gave Joey Logano a chance to get up side by side with him. We see Matt Kenseth with Carl Edwards right there, letting Kyle Busch get away from these guys.
Battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Logano will have the 2nd spot, or will he?
Comes Stewart on the outside of Justin Allgaier back there for that 6th spot. Not that Kyle Busch needed any help, but he's getting a lot of help from these guys racing side by side.
Tony Stewart drives it to the bottom of the racetrack. Remember, you heard Kevin Harvick say if you're going to win it, you're going to win it on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's looking for a hole, though. He's got to have a place to go. He may have to use the outside right here getting into one. He's got to run here. He's got to take it somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to go, and the only way that anybody's going to beat Kyle Busch right now, these guys are racing for second. They're going to have another caution, which could happen because we have a lot of racing going on around the track. Tony's got up to 5th, though. He's going to be hoping here in the next lap or so that he might get that caution that would allow him to have a chance at Kyle Busch, who's stretched out by about 10 car lengths.
Brad Keselowski now battling back on the high side. Retakes the second spot away from Joey Logano. There's Carl Edwards back and forth, now going for 3rd.
Carl's trying to figure out where to go, too. He needs a hole. He's looking for a hole around these guys.
Yeah, here goes Tony. Oh, Logano got really high, and that got Carl Edwards. He had to get out of the gas tank.
He's in the wall. He's almost in the fence.
I think he got into the wall coming out of 2.
He's got a tire rub on the front.
I think he could have possibly got into the 20 there.
This could be the caution if he blows this tire here.
See the left front damage there. But man, this shakes things up points-wise right now, too. Got Kyle Busch leading the race. Brad Keselowski up in 2nd. Now Carl Edwards falling back.
Here comes Tony Stewart on the inside of the 88 car. That's for 2nd position. 4 laps to go.
All he needs is a caution right here.
No pressure behind him. No pressure behind.
Still got 3 more laps, though.
3 to go. Sawyer.
3 laps to go, but about a 1.5-second differential now between Tony Stewart and the guy he's chasing for the win, Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I don't think he's got enough time to catch him if he doesn't get a caution.
Carl Edwards is headed to pit road here.
And the points leader on pit road here with 3 laps to go. Tony Stewart running laps quicker than the leader.
He might not get to the very front, but that was a great call by Ernie Cope.
It was a mistake earlier in the race that actually paid off for him here at the very end by saving that set of tires.
I'm sure if you ask Ernie, he said it was all strategy.
It's all planned.
Yeah. Tony Stewart restarted in 7th position and has now driven that car all the way up to 2nd spot.
You think, though, I don't know if Kyle Busch goes back and watches any of these races, but you think he'll laugh at us at some of these times we talk about these guys going to maybe pass him at the end of the race? I mean, seldom do they ever do it.
He's probably saying, what race are they watching?
Yeah, exactly. Where you guys been for the last couple of years?
White flag waving here at Texas Motor Speedway. Rowdy Busch has led 177 of 199 laps. He dominated a year ago, leading 300 laps in the combined 2 races. Both races he went to victory lane at Texas. No one's ever won 3 in a row, and today that will change because Kyle Busch does it at Texas.
Paul Menard getting a top 5 finish.
Yeah, great job. Brad Keselowski, David Reagan up in 4th.
Good job.
Tell you what, that those last few laps, though, changed this points race tremendously. Kyle Busch now only 38 points back of Carl Edwards.
In 16 previous races, no one had ever won from the pole.
You guys are all on time.
And now the question is, guys, with the new sealed engine rule, what will you do?
Well, it depends if he's got a sealed engine in there now. If he's got a fresh one in there, I bet you he'll take care of it.
Well, let's go down where Vince is standing by with Jason Ratcliffe.
Well, let's find out. Did you give Kyle directions because of the sealed engine on how to celebrate?
Yeah, I did. I mean, he won't like that. He loves the burnouts. I know the fans do too. But yeah, with the new deal this year, they seal the engines, so we run them twice. So you can't do a burnout if you're going to seal it. We need to put it in another Toyota and go win another race with it. But the NOS Energy Drink car was awesome today. Kyle did a great job. We were on both sides of the fence at times, too free, too tight. But everybody did a great job. Good job on pit road, and we pulled it off.
The statistics say you dominated this one, but the 4 tires on the 33 made it interesting there at the end. How good were you at the end?
He was pretty happy with it. He had learned some stuff right before that caution came out as far as where he needed to be on the track with his car to make it handle like he wanted. And 4 tires are always going to be good, but You know, with that many laps left, clean air obviously was better.
How good is Kyle Busch?
In my opinion, he's the best.
Proved it today, guys.
And Vince, across the 3 series, we're talking about Cup, Nationwide, and Trucks. Kyle Busch has now won 6 times in 15 NASCAR races in 2009. 2 times in the Nationwide Series, 2 in the Cup, and 2 in the Truck Series.
Where he learned this one from?
You would see something different going on with this. You know, we thought last year when he led 124 laps in one of the races, then 176, and now he exceeds that today with 178 laps led. It's quite remarkable is what this young man is.
Saw his brother Kurt do the backwards victory lap. Attributed to the fans.
He's wanting to do a burnout. It's just killing him not to be able to do that right now.
Nice run for you guys after a good starting spot. Talk about your day. Yeah, it's a good day.
Let's check in where Shannon is caught up with our 3rd place finisher.
What a run for a backup car. This 88 car was fantastic today. You got to tell me what happened on that last restart, and if it would have stayed green, did you guys have something for that 18?
I think we definitely had something for the 18 if it would have stayed green. Restart there, just gave it all she got, and just didn't quite have enough for the 18. And 20 got a good run on me, got in the back of me a little bit, and got side by side. And we raced each other so hard side by side, we just couldn't get back to the 18. But awesome race car, awesome job for the Junior Motorsports team. I wrecked my Hellman's Mayonnaise car in qualifying, and I feel bad for him for that. We've torn up a lot of stuff lately, so to be able to rebound to a 3rd place finish with everything that's gone on lately, I just can't tell you how proud I am of this team, and can't wait to get in a rhythm here and race through the summer, because I think we're going to come on strong.
Now, talking about upcoming races, Nashville coming up, how much momentum does this give you going into that race?
This is exactly what we needed. We just needed a solid finish. We ran good at every race, and just somehow during the course of events I've managed to screw it up. So to get this finish and to do it with the Hellman's car with Junior Motorsports, I'm just so happy and so proud of them. They deserve the credit.
Well, Brad Keselowski hasn't been looking at the points, but he moved from 15th to 7th with this finish here today. Jamie?
Well, there's good and bad news for Carl Edwards. Bad news, he took a big hit in the points, but the good news, Carl, you're still leading by 38 points. What happened there at the end?
Well, I was trying to watch the replay there, but from where I was sitting, looked like I had a pretty decent run there on the 20 on the outside, and his spotter didn't tell him, or he just didn't really care, and came up there across the nose. I mean, we're racing hard. It's that's what it is. But there you can see, once you got the car that far up there, it's tough to say. His spotter might not have said I was out there, but just our guys did the best they could. We didn't have a car that could win the race, but we definitely shouldn't have ended up in the wall. It's just it's hard to lay down, just say, hey, that's good enough. So I was just racing hard and ended up in the fence. So we'll be all right.
All right, good news for Carl Edwards. He goes to Nashville, where he is a concrete king. Doc?
He is the king of concrete, but that little bobble and that bump with Logano in contact with the wall will bring an 18th place finish for Carl Edwards. Joey Logano finished in 12th position. Kyle Busch, 178 laps led out of 200 laps. 3 in a row at Texas Motor Speedway, and the first driver to ever win from the pole in 17 races here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
He leads the most laps again, but this time he gets victory lane. Kyle, congratulations.
I appreciate it. It was pretty cool. It was going to be a battle there if the caution didn't come out between Keselowski and me, and he was getting fast there at the end, so it was cool that it was going to be a battle. I thought Burton was going to be up there all day, but really got to thank NOS, the fans, Z-Line, Toyota, Gillette, DirecTV, Marquee Jets, and racetrack stores, convenience stores. They've just all done a phenomenal job putting this deal together. Can't thank NOS Energy Drink enough. They were with us. This is 2 for 2 for NOS and 3 in a row at Texas, so it's pretty special.
What are we going to do about the victory lane celebration, actually the on-track celebration with the sealed motor rule? We got to work on something.
I talked to NASCAR about that one. That's not anything we can do about it. So
did you miss doing burnouts?
I did. That was probably the first time that I haven't done a burnout after a race, but you know, I backed up because I didn't want to leave out the people down in turn 1. You know, I want to thank them for being here. So I wasn't doing a Kurt Busch thing. I just backed up and got back to those guys and then forwarded along the front straightaway instead of wasting a whole lap and not getting here in time.
Kyle, 2 weeks ago, you guys lost on pit road. You had a chance to visit with your team afterwards. How did you pick them up so they can take you to victory lane today?
Well, we just had to, you know, just talk about it. You know, you got out, we had our problems at Bristol, and, you know, we were fine for the next day on Sunday. We won that race, and I just wanted to sit the guys down on Tuesday to just talk to them and say, hey, you know what, man, this weekend was a bad weekend. It was frustrating. Of course, we all let our emotions get out of control sometimes, especially myself. But, you know, the guys were all cool with it, and they understood where I was coming from. They know that I believe in them, and ultimately they believe in me too. So that's why this package works.
I think today they all believe in each other. Kyle Busch in victory lane again. Doc?
From the frustrations of Bristol 2 weeks ago to the jubilation at Texas as a winner here in victory lane. Kyle Busch moving within 38 points of our points leader, Carl Everts, who had the disappointing 18th place finish today. Kyle picking up his second win of 2009, 3 in a row at Texas. And folks, he has won 6 times out of the last 11 races on 1.5-mile racetracks. I think he's king of the 1.5-mile ovals. Back with more driver interviews from Texas in just a moment.
Finishers from today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch dominated and took the trophy in victory lane there moments ago, but Tony Stewart, after getting kind of crossed up by a little pit strategy earlier, was able to use some pit strategy to come back and blast through the field to get second. Kevin Harvick's been kind enough to sit in our pit studio with us all throughout the day and watch the race. And let's see, his driver's on a headset down on pit road after finishing second. His owner's sitting here. We're going to let them talk to each other, and we'll all just kind of listen in.
Yeah, who thought this was a good idea, by the way? we saw how Fandango went the other night, and that was we better not get that out of control. Yeah. But Tony, you guys did a great job. I thought you guys were in a little bit of trouble there when you stayed out there on tires, but it all worked out in the end, huh?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was surprised that with only 9 laps on our tires, when Ernie wanted us to stay out, that we were going to be in that bad a shape. But that's also the call that set it up for us to be able to come in and get tires at the end and get all that track position back. So I thought Ernie and the guys did a great job. I never dreamed, boss, that we were going to be that tight in the race. We were so good on Thursday that we parked it early thinking that, man, this thing, we're going to do nothing but screw it up. But I don't know if it was the heat today or more rubber in the racetrack, but we just got a bunch tighter than we were Thursday. But, you know, having that last set of tires there that Ernie had saved earlier in the race was what paid off for us.
Well, I got to tell you, like I say, I thought you guys were in trouble. But, you know, here at the end of the race, you guys put on a good show for us. And is there anything that I need to know, anybody I need to reprimand Monday morning? Did anybody do anything wrong?
No, actually, I'm probably the only guy. I mean, I probably should have anticipated the warmer weather and the track being tighter. I don't think that was anybody's fault but mine. But, you know, I'm just really proud of everybody on the Armor All team and Ernie Cope and all your guys. They just did an awesome job today. They never quit. Even when we lost all that track position, none of the guys got down. And, you know, Ernie kept freeing it up on the stops and was real calm on the radio. And we got in a situation there at the end where we could put those tires on. And if we got ourselves in a green-white checkered situation at the end there, we'd saved our tires once we got to second enough that I think we would have had something for Kyle.
Yeah, that was going to be my question for you, Tony. You did a great job. You guys saved those tires. Did you have something for Kyle Busch at the end if you could have gotten in that position?
Yeah, that was the only way anybody was going to have a shot at him, was for us to be on fresh tires there at the end and him to be on some older tires. But, you know, Kyle was the class of the field today. I mean, I saw him at the start, saw him for about 4 laps, and he was gone. And, you know, even when we took off on the restart in the lead with 9-lap tires, we held him off for a couple laps. But as soon as he got by, he just walked off. And, you know, his car was just the class of the field today. He was as good today as we were on Thursday. We just got it on the wrong day.
Tony, got 500 miles in your Sprint Cup Series car tomorrow. Start, what, 7th? How was your final practices today before we let you go?
It definitely got warmer and got slicker. I was looking at Jimmy Johnson's last lap versus his quickest lap in happy hour, and it was 2/10 difference. So the good thing is the tires do fall off, and it's going to make the tire game a lot more interesting, or a little easier, I should say, because everybody's going to know in the Cup race that you need to put the tires on after seeing what we did. But I'm pretty excited about our Old Spice Office Depot car is good, and Darren Grubb, I'm going to go back and talk to him since Kevin's up there in the air conditioning, making sure his hair looks good.
All right, now a little TV insider thing. We're just going to widen the camera shot out just a little bit and see how this works. See, Tony's actually borrowing Shannon's headset there to be kind enough to talk to us. And Shannon's standing there saying,
borrowing my stuff.
She's saying, what are they saying about me?
I'm not letting go either.
All right. Thank you, Smoke. Congrats on a great run. Tony Stewart finishing second today here in Texas. Gotta let people in on the joke. We were talking about that in commercial before we went. And Kyle Busch with the old Lone Star celebration in Victory Lane. Next week it's on to Nashville for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And if you want to join us for that one, there are tickets available there and at these upcoming racetracks. Friday night race out in Phoenix, then Talladega. Oh boy, yes, always fun. Those are the upcoming races for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We have more upcoming post-race coverage from here in Texas today. After this, don't go away.
I can stand up.